This is The Wire for 2030 Zulu, November 14th, 2023. Precedence is routine. Information cutoff is 1930. Bottom line up front. War continues in Gaza. Demonstrations complicate historic trends. Beginning with international events. In the Middle East, Israel continues invasion of Gaza. Israeli forces continue to push south along the coast and are expected to link up with forces in central Gaza soon. On the European front, protests and demonstrations continue related to a variety of issues. Pro-Palestine protests continue in opposition to the Israeli invasion of Gaza. These events have resulted in thousands of Arabs and Africans taking to the streets, the sheer number of which has prompted anti-immigration protests. Analysts comment. In Europe, some protests are leading to other protests as social issues snowball into much larger problems, and as individuals seek to occupy opposing political viewpoints. On the home front in the United States, much consternation abounds following the realization that the Corporate Transparency Act comes into fruition on January 1st, 2024. This act, passed with bipartisan support, was quietly placed into the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. An estimated 80 million small businesses are affected by this law. All public companies and corporations that employ more than 20 people are exempt from this law. Analysts comment. As many people finally finish reading the thousands of pages of budgetary laws passed over the past few years, acts like this one are being discovered. This act requires most small business LLCs to register with the U.S. Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, providing identification documents and ownership data. This is used to create a law enforcement registry of all small business owners in the United States. In California, in San Francisco, a Czech news crew covering the preparations for the upcoming APEC summit was robbed at gunpoint on the street as they were filming B-roll for an upcoming newscast. The three armed assailants stole their camera equipment and so far have evaded capture. Analyst comments for this wire. As many demonstrations continue around the world, complex social issues dominate and confuse the situation. The enemy of my enemy mindset is not accurate in describing the social concerns that are resulting in protests around Europe. Pro-Palestine protests draw both extreme left and extreme right protesters. For instance, both Antifa and far-right groups have demonstrated support for Palestine, two groups that have historically had an adversarial relationship. Likewise, some pro-Palestine protests draw significant anti-immigration groups, which also do not support Israel. As strange and sometimes cognitively dissonant demonstrations continue, these will likely continue to be high-risk events, as current events complicate traditional and historic rivalries. This concludes The Wire for 2030 Zulu, November 14th, 2023.